Tyler, can you? Oh, I can hear myself. We're doing great. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ITS Georgia. Appreciate you all coming out on a rainy day, braving it all. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Glasser. I'm the new ITS Georgia president. Thank you for letting me take this on from Tom. I know that's a big sigh of relief for us all. This is, of course, our first meeting of the year, and we will be learning more about the Cumberland Sweep and the autonomous shuttle called the Hopper. So get that all queued up. Again, my name is Matt Glasser. I'm from Arcadis, and I'm excited to be passing the microphone off to a few folks here to talk about programs, volunteers, elections already, and awards already. So get that queued up. But first and foremost, for those of you that are not aware, annual membership renewals are going on right now. If you get that done before the end of January, there is a 10% discount. So thank you to the 25 to 30 of you that have already signed up. For those of you that haven't, don't miss the opportunity. In February, at our February meeting, for those of you that have not signed up, you got to sign up as a member. That will go away. So when you go to do your February membership or your February monthly meeting, you might notice that your fees have gone up, and that might be because your organization is not re-signed. So if you're curious about that, please feel free to shoot me an email at president@itsgeorgia.org or our membership chair, which is Troy Galloway, and you can email him at membership@itsgeorgia.org. Next up is from our communications team. If you have not been to the ITS Georgia website in the last 24 hours, I encourage you to do so. We just launched a brand new website. It is much more responsive. It looks wonderful. Big thanks to Whitney Nottage from Q-Free who led that charge for us. In the coming months, you will see continued rollout and changes that are coming online with that. But again, we're really excited about that from that standpoint. With that, Tom Glickard, I'm going to hand it to you to talk about some volunteering and some elections and some awards.
Thanks, Matt. You guys can't get rid of me that easy. So just real quick, a couple of things I want to talk through. We will have nominations open for elections and Best of ITS Georgia awards coming up early this year. We're just trying to get a head start, make sure that y'all, when you think of a project you might want to nominate, the awards page is open for you to do it, or when you think of a person you want to nominate to serve on the board of directors, the website and page is open for you to just go ahead and do that. One thing to note on elections, we did update our bylaws this year, or this past year, to require it's a good amount of participation by our nominees for board of directors or officer positions. So we're asking that folks who are running for those positions have been present at 50% of the last year of ITS Georgia meetings and are taking active roles on the different committees we have. So just kind of getting that out there as a heads up. If you think of somebody that you want to nominate, make sure that they're participating with the organization. There is some relief for that if there's some circumstances where they weren't able to really participate the past year. But just make sure if you're thinking of people, make sure they're already involved with the organization or they're getting involved. And with that, of course, we do have a lot of volunteer positions open for ITS Georgia. We'll be getting an email out shortly with volunteer opportunities to all of our membership. So encourage you all to volunteer in any way that you can, and encourage you to get some younger staff members who might have a little bit more time on their hands to get engaged with the organization. So thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate that, Tom. And again, if you're interested in that, you can send me an email, president@itsgeorgia.org, or you can email info@itsgeorgia.org. Either one of those are great. Reach out to let us know what you might be interested in. Plenty of opportunities, and we'd love to have you. With that, Madison, you're up next to be talking about social and as well the annual meeting. Already planning for that.
Hey, y'all. So I'll start with annual meeting. So today, after this meeting, you should be getting an official call for volunteers as well as the call for papers. We have all our committee chairs set, but we still need tons of help. So if you're interested in volunteering with that, reach out to any of the committee chairs directly or myself, and we'll be happy to get you connected. It'll be September 15th through 17th in North Augusta, which is just barely into South Carolina, but it's going to be a really awesome conference. Social wise, first social, planning for February 29th, which is a Thursday. We're going to go bowling. I'm not sure exactly where yet, but also if you're interested in volunteering with putting together socials, let me know about that as well. We can get you plugged in. Thanks.
Appreciate it. And before I call Mary Thimati up, I'd like to just tell you about a few things that are coming up. In addition to our social, in February, we'll be at Peachtree Corners for a presentation from Alex and Bill Gunner about GDOT's wrong way driving program that they've been rolling out. And then in March, we'll be down in One Georgia Center to hear from Meg Perkle. That is going to be Women's History Month, so we're very excited to be welcoming her to present. Mary, I will hand it off to you to introduce our speakers as well as to give a shout out to our sponsor for the month.
Thanks, Matt. Go ahead up here for our speakers. I want to give a shout out to All Traffic Data for sponsoring this lunch and helping us all be here. And with no further ado, I want to introduce our speakers. They're going to be speaking about the Hopper, the autonomous shuttle in the Cumberland CID, which is actually where I live, so kind of special to me. But first, I wanted to introduce Tarik Milner. He's the planning and projects manager of the Cumberland Community Improvement District. He manages the operations for the CCID's beautification initiatives, landscape enhancements, asset management, and installations. He earned his bachelor's degree from Jacksonville State University, as well as his master's in urban and regional planning from the University of Central Florida. With him presenting will be Par Bolina. He's been a traffic engineer with Jacobs for 6 years and works mainly in the signal design and the top-end express lane project. He's a graduate from Auburn University and enjoys working on innovative design projects such as the Hopper. Par regularly attends ITS Georgia and ITS events and is excited to get to present today. And with that, I will pass it on to our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, Matt, and actually I wanted to give a big thanks to the whole ITS organization for allowing myself and Par to come speak to you guys this afternoon about the emerging technology that we are implementing in the Cumberland CID. So before I get started and going into details with this, going into details for our project, I guess I want to give everybody a little bit of background so we have some context regarding why this project was implemented in the Cumberland CID in the first place. Clicker? Oh, perfect. All right. So back in 2017, just to kind of, like I said, give you an overview of the Cumberland CID. Back in 2017, the Atlanta Braves made their move from the city of Atlanta to Cobb County official. And while they officially landed within the boundaries of the CID, the Braves Development Company brought in a state-of-the-art baseball stadium, and along with that stadium, they also brought in a transformational mixed-use development, better known as the Battery. Now, the Battery alone employs over 5,000 people, as well as it has raised $38 million in tax revenue over the last year for the state, the city, or the state, the county, and the local school districts. Now, with the Battery and along with the other many developments that we have in the Cumberland CID, this Cumberland CID has been able to have a $23.6 billion economic impact on the state of Georgia. We proudly host about 3,300 businesses, which employ about 84,000 people. We are also home to 30,000 residents, 40% of which are millennials, and we also proudly host a diverse demographic which is made up of 40% black, 40% white, and 13% Asian. Now, along with the Braves, there are many other businesses within the CID that host, along with the Braves, there are many other businesses that have their headquarters located in the CID. That includes Home Depot, Genuine Parts Company, Papa John's, Synovus, and ThyssenKrupp Elevator, better known as TKE. Now, there are 4.5 million square feet of office, multifamily, retail, and hospitality space in development pipeline in the CID, and that's just through 2025. Now, as great as all this development sounds, it also has been fueling some of the mobility and connection issues that we experience in our district today. Now, if you go to the Cumberland CID, you will notice that we have major roadways and intersections that bisect our district, such as I-285, I-75, and Cobb Parkway, better known as US 41. Now, while these roadways are very crucial to people driving through and to our district, they don't create a cohesive environment for our pedestrians. Now, these roadways create that car-centric environment that's conducive, obviously, to car travel, but not so much to the local residents that want to get to and from some of their favorite destinations. Along with that, we also have minimal transit access. Now, I know Cobb County is doing a lot of work as far as wanting to build out the Cobb Link and MARTA connections, but as of right now, that access to these different transit options are very minimal. So with that being said, back in 2017, when the CID was working on our master plan update, the concept for the Cumberland Sweep was created. Now this is the Cumberland, well, it's an introduction to the Cumberland Sweep. So the Cumberland Sweep will be a 3-mile multimodal corridor which will connect Cumberland's major employment and cultural entertainment destinations. And my apologies for the formatting, but some of those key destinations which are within the CID, with some of you are maybe familiar with, such as the Battery, Truist Park, Cumberland Mall, CPAC, which is the Cobb Performing Arts Center, as well as Cobb Galleria Center, which is host to many conferences and events, and also the CRNRA, which is the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area. Yeah, all right. Just making sure I got that right. Sometimes I mix up the letters, but thank you. but yeah, so we host 2 units for the CRNRA, which is the Paces Mill Palisades and the Cochran Shoals. And so if you've ever done Shoot the Hooch, you will be familiar with 2 of these areas that we have within the CID. So once the Cumberland Sweep is fully built out, it will consist of dedicated lanes for walking, biking, and an autonomous shuttle system. So as you may be able to see from this picture that I have on the slide, you have our walkers and bikers on the outside and our AV shuttle lane inside, and then obviously your car travel lanes. So as 5 of the goals that when we conceived this project, 5 of the goals that we had in mind to consider this project a success is that we wanted to offer a potential solution for the first and last mile challenges, mainly for those residents that are within the CID looking to get to some of their favorite destinations. We also wanted to help unify the district by creating that connectivity for everyone. We wanted to be able to connect people to transit via whether that be Cobb Link or MARTA. Also wanted to be able to reduce carbon emissions by getting some of those cars off the road and getting people onto the trails. We also wanted to be able to foster equity throughout our community. Now, this here is an overview map of what the sweep will look like once it is fully built out. Now, as you can see, we have split it up into 6 major segments along with 2 pedestrian bridges. So I'm going to briefly go over these segments and pedestrian bridges. So to the northeast in the light blue, we have segment A, which runs along Interstate North Parkway between Windy Ridge and Acres Mill. Then to the south, we have segment B, which runs along Acres Mill Road. And then segment C here in the dark blue, which is the furthest along in this process, which is currently in design progress right now, runs through the Galleria Center, the Galleria Office Park, excuse me. And then to the north of that in green, we have segment D. This travels across the I-285 pedestrian bridge and also bisects or cuts through the Battery Atlanta. Then to the north, we have segment E in yellow, which runs along Windy Ridge Parkway. Then from there, I'll take your eyes to the south to this orange segment here, which runs along Acres Mill Road and then Cumberland Boulevard, cutting in front of the Cumberland Mall, which is segment F. So those are the 6 major segments of the sweep. And now, so if you notice the 2 pink sections, these are the 2 pedestrian bridges that will be going along with this project. So the pedestrian bridge north is basically a concept that was conceived because of the need for, better access for pedestrians, primarily traveling to and from the Battery for Braves games specifically. So I think it was back in 2018, when Braves had their amazing run and won the championship, this section of road, or really Cobb Parkway in general, was, Cobb Parkway in general was flagged as a major hazard for pedestrians because of all the people, wanting to come across, because, you have parking here. People pretty much park anywhere. If you're not familiar with the area, people park in Smyrna, people park, to the north towards Marietta, and even, to the south all along Cobb Parkway. So with Cobb Parkway being what it is very dangerous for pedestrians. So we decided to include this pedestrian bridge north as a part of this Cumberland Sweep project. So it will be a very crucial connection between the city of Smyrna and the Battery Atlanta. Take your eyes south to the pedestrian bridge south, which connects the Cumberland Mall and Cobb Galleria Center. Now, this is an existing bridge that we hope to basically rehabilitate and turn into, obviously, a better pedestrian bridge, but also we hope to have autonomous vehicle access along this bridge as well. We're a little ways away as far as the design process goes, but that is pretty much the goal for this. Now, as we were going through this project and wanting to basically build out the AV components or AV part of this project, we decided to enlist Jacobs to conduct an AV study to give us a better understanding of this technology and how we were to implement it. So now I'll pass things along to Par.
Thanks, Tarik. Like you were saying, in early 2022, the CID partnered with Jacobs to research and summarize the current state of practice of autonomous technologies. Jacobs was enlisted to help develop a concept of operations, a ConOps, once a shuttle has been deployed, as well as assist with operational trainings and other kickoff meetings and such. And then a final phase of that deployment plan was to help with estimation of potential ridership of a shuttle in the Cumberland area. So the first step we took was to analyze the current state of autonomous transportation in the country. We looked at case studies that had been deployed over the previous couple of years and found a fair number of shuttle deployments that matched the same goals that the CID was hoping to accomplish with the sweep. So a couple of standouts. In 2017, the city of Arlington, Texas launched the Milo shuttle, which ran through an entertainment district containing the Dallas Cowboys Stadium and the Texas Rangers ballpark. That one is pictured on the right here. In 2018, the University of Michigan launched the M-City shuttle, which circulated their North Campus research complex, and that program lasted for 2 years. Now, I'd like to think both of those shuttles were the reason the Rangers and the University of Michigan won their national championship and World Series, but who's to say? And then in 2021, the city of Peachtree Corners launched the Paul, which runs through an industrial park just off of SR 141. At the time of the study, the Paul was still operational, so CCID and Jacobs visited their Curiosity Lab and Innovation Center, which is where the shuttle they have is operated out of. And we got to learn how they deployed theirs and what their service was capable of. One of the manufacturers for the shuttles that Peachtree Corners runs is no longer in business, which I think just brings a good point on how quick this technology evolves and how shuttle models in early deployments quickly became outdated by shuttles in newer deployments. One common element between all of these deployments was the specific type of shuttle being used. By being less than, or by having a top speed of less than 25 miles an hour, weighing less than 3,000 pounds and having a conventional layout of 4 wheels. These shuttles were classified by NHTSA as low-speed autonomous vehicles, or LSAVs. LSAVs are typically 12 to 16 feet in length, 4 to 7 feet in height, so about the same size as a passenger sedan, but tall enough to stand in and tall enough to step into. They typically operate around 15 miles an hour, carrying 5 to 15 passengers, with the ultimate goal of them being able to use level 4 automation to get around. So level 4 automation means that the vehicle can operate autonomously in certain conditions. The shuttle does not have a steering wheel. The shuttle does not have pedals. This is a step up from level 3, which has autonomous features, but a driver still must take control of the vehicle when asked to. It's a step down from level 5, which can operate autonomously everywhere, all the time. The shuttles we looked at have battery capacities of 6 to 9 hours, which can decrease if in extensive use or if they're having to navigate steep slopes, with charge times of around 3 hours using a regular wall outlet. The shuttles also come equipped with seat belts and ADA compliant ramps for wheelchair accessibility. The most important thing maybe for a successful shuttle deployment was being able to have a well-developed and defined operational design domain. The ODD is the environment and the conditions in which the shuttle operates, and that includes everything from presence of a paved roadway to well-defined pavement markings, visibility, as well as an accurate mapped path. The difference between a good shuttle and a slow-moving brick is having an ODD that is clearly defined. Other factors that are important for a good ODD besides pavement markings are fixed fixtures, like fixed features along a route that a shuttle can recognize. Adequate separation from adjacent traffic if you're operating in mixed traffic or on a pedestrian path from cyclists and other pedestrians. And then the shuttle operates in its ODD by a combination of LiDAR and radar sensors and onboard cameras. The LiDAR and the radar are able to determine objects and ranges to create a virtual environment. And that virtual environment is compared to an accurate mapped path drawn before the deployment. And that comparison allows the shuttle to identify any obstructions or anything that's different from what it's normally expecting out there. The onboard cameras can provide real-time route conditions, as if it's raining or if it's getting a little too dark out there early. And then GPS can just provide location and speeds. Certain shuttle deployments have been able to implement connected vehicle technologies, which allow them to communicate with traffic signals and other vehicles, allowing the shuttle to recognize the status of a signal, whether there's vehicles stopped at that signal, and then traverse safely through an intersection. This picture is of one of the dashboard screens on a shuttle, and you can notice at the top, it's a top-down view of a shuttle recognizing an obstruction to its front and right. Once deployed, day-to-day operations can be managed by the deploying entity or by partnering with transit service partners. The operations include hiring and training of staff, setting a route with stops, and determining a normal schedule of service. The picture on the left shows just an example of a typical schedule. In this case, the shuttle service is running on weekdays at a fixed time while taking holidays off, because shuttles are doing a hard job and deserve a break as well. Also as important to that is finding a secure place to park and charge your shuttle. It is not a short vehicle. It is an expensive vehicle. Having a dedicated space where you know it'll be every day locked away is important, as well as routine maintenance of the shuttle. It's not a normal internal combustion engine. So you don't have to worry about engine oil changes, but it still has other components such as brakes and tires and moving parts that you would expect. Often in deployments, there is a remote station or a command center where operators can monitor the shuttle, check at which stop it's at, see how fast it's moving, check the battery life of it to see if it's time to come back for a charge. As well as those operators can reach out to emergency personnel in case there is something that arises, such as law enforcement or fire departments. And while the shuttle is autonomous and doesn't require a driver, most deployments will have an onboard attendant. That onboard attendant, in certain scenarios, can take manual control of the shuttle using controls similar to the picture on the right, which can stop and start, steer, turn on the wipers, the lights, and access the doors. And outside of requiring manual operation, the attendant's also there to ease the passengers and facilitate getting on and off the shuttle. During our study, we were actually invited, CCID and Jacobs, as well as members of Cobb County and GDOT, to visit BEEP headquarters in Lake Nona, Florida, just outside of the Orlando airport. BEEP is a service mobility provider with a local AV deployment in Lake Nona. So we toured their command center and got a little look into how they operate their shuttle deployments across the country, as well as watch presentations from their executives and client managers on what makes a successful deployment. And then we got a tour of their Move Nona shuttle, which you can see a map of that route, which starts off in their hub of their town center and then branches out to different parts of town, such as the VA hospital, the University of Central Florida satellite campus, and then just many residential neighborhoods. And then another phase of our study was an estimation of potential ridership for any shuttle in the Cumberland Sweep area. Our team used an Excel-based estimation tool designed by Jacobs for smaller system transit use, originally for an autonomous project in Dallas. The tool uses the first 3 steps of the traditional travel demand model. We began by setting a study area of a 1/4 mile back from the potential route, and then dividing that study area into different zones demarcated by the major roadways of the Cumberland area. Based on land use data, we assessed trips generated by each of those zones that were taken every day, and filtered those trips by ones that would potentially be able to ride the shuttle. That would be trips that are starting and ending in the Cumberland area and are interzonal, meaning leaving one zone to go to another. As you can see from the heat map, the 2 zones generating the most amount of trips in the Cumberland area were zones 2 and 13, which makes sense if you're familiar with the area, because zone 2 is the Battery and then zone 13 is Cumberland Mall. The second step involved using the gravity model to distribute trips between origins and destinations. And then the third step was to split the modes. We split the modes of walking, driving a car, and taking the AV shuttle based on cost of actual monetary cost and time delay. Looking at the normal variables, of course, for the travel demand model, we also added in AV-specific components to our tool, such as headways of shuttles and walking distance to shuttle stops. After analyzing the results of our ridership estimation, we found the demand, or the highest demand for potential trips on the AV shuttle, came from the south and west quadrants of Cumberland, with the west quadrant being the Battery and the south quadrant being Cumberland Mall. If you look at the figure on the left, you'll see desire lines for different origins and destinations, with those 2 popular locations popping up again. And then if you look at the figure on the right, you'll see the potential route layout weighted for trips. Looking at this figure, you can tell the most utilized segment is the one running through Cobb Galleria, as riders take that segment onto their final destination. And that really just sort of defined this segment C as the spine of the Cumberland Sweep. As a result of the mode split, we found that the most significant impact came from having shorter headways. Riders would not want to wait too long at a stop for another shuttle to come. And then to a lesser impact, shuttle speeds were about the same, or impact to ridership because of shuttle speeds were about the same, because a lot of the trips these riders were taking weren't terribly long. And then one final result was having these shuttle stops within about 500 to 1,000 feet of walking distance of popular points of interest is advised, as otherwise other modes will be selected. So we took all of these results and findings, put them together in our three-phase study, and provided them back to the CCID, and then Tarik will talk about the results of what came after that.
Thank you, Park. All right. So this you see depicted here is our Hopper shuttle. So as Park said, we used the data that Jacobs was able to collect to pretty much create the background for our shuttle and pretty much our 8-month pilot program. So we began the program back in July of 2023, and we will culminate this program in March 2024, specifically March 22nd. So just want to say if you haven't ridden the shuttle yet, please make sure you get out there by March 22nd. So last year, as we were, like I said, as Jacobs was conducting this study, we were culminating a partnership with Beep, which is a national leader in AV technology and operations. So Beep is the company that pretty much operates and maintains the shuttle, while Navia is the company who manufactures the shuttle. I kind of skipped ahead. But so the pilot program consists of two deployment routes, one being along the I-25 Transit and Pedestrian Bridge, and the second route runs through the Galleria Office Park. And so, as I said before, so the shuttle itself was manufactured by a company called Navia. They're based out of France. And so this shuttle you see here is a 8-passenger shuttle, travels at a max speed of 15 miles per hour. And yes, there are seat belts. So, I know traveling at those type of speeds makes some people uncomfortable. So have some seat belts for you. And also the shuttle operates with an attendant on board due to the technological and regulatory restrictions at the time on the shuttle. An attendant has to be on board the shuttle at all times. And then also the shuttle operates on GNSS technology. And I'll try to explain this in the best way I can, since I'm not a technical type of person, but essentially Beep installed a transmitter on a nearby parking garage, and it pretty much relays a signal to and from the Beep Command Center, which is in Orlando, Florida, where they are headquartered, to the shuttle. And from there, they're able to monitor not only the location and the speeds of the shuttle, but also any maintenance issues that were to pop up at a time. So, like I said, along with the attendant on board, Beep is also able to maintain 24/7, essentially 24/7 surveillance on the shuttle itself. Now, some of the program goals that we wanted to hope to achieve out of this pilot program, we wanted to learn to become a leader in AV technology. We also wanted to raise awareness of this technology and prove its benefits so that it could be used elsewhere. We wanted to help educate the public, not only public, but also some of our key stakeholders, such as our property owners. We also wanted to use this data to prepare for implementation in 2027. That's an important date because 2027 is when we hope to go to construction on the first segment, which would be the segment C of the Cumberland Sweep. Now a little bit about our partnership with Beep. So as I said before, Beep, so they provide a turnkey AV shuttle mobility solutions for different local governments and organizations across the U.S. So I know Par touched on some of the pilot programs they have. Like I said, they're headquartered in Florida, so they have about 4 or 5 different programs going in Florida. They have us, the Cumberland CID, also Peachtree Peachtree Corners. And then I think they have an actual pilot program ongoing in California. BEEP's mission is basically to provide a safe, reliable, stress-free, autonomous transportation technology, reducing carbon emissions, improving road safety, and extending mobility access to all. So with that being said, BEEP pretty much, their mission is to get this technology out there and get people familiar with it and comfortable with it, because they see and recognize the benefit that it has for public transit. Also, throughout this process, the NHTSA approval was very crucial. So all of the AV programs are technically considered pilots as NHTSA is concerned. BEEP has submitted an application to NHTSA for our Hopper pilot. Since they are an AV company, they are very familiar with this process, so we pretty much left it in their hands, gave them all the information, and they were able to go through the NHTSA process and get our pilot program with our 2 routes approved through NHTSA. And also safety will always be a top priority for NHTSA dealing with these type of emerging technologies. So this here is a map of our current pilot program. So here you will see the 2 routes that I referenced earlier. So first we have this route that you see in blue going across the highway. That's the route that goes along the I-285 transit and pedestrian bridge. That is pretty much our primary route. We utilized this route heavily when we initiated the program last year because of Brave season. So a lot of fans, they like to park over here in the Galleria, come across the bridge, so they were able to experience the Hopper and some of this AV technology. And then our secondary route, the green route, runs through the Galleria Office Park, pretty much takes people to and from their offices and up to the bridge, since we notice a lot of people like to traverse across the bridge to get to the Battery for lunch or certain events, things like that. So as I said before, we use the data that Jacobs was able to provide through their study to recognize these high traffic volume areas to pretty much see where would we be able to get the most ridership when we implemented this program. So, and not only did we consider obviously the high traffic volumes in this area, but as you can see, so here along Galleria Drive and then going across the I-25 pedestrian bridge, that is our planned segment C and segment D. So we're able to get some information on how this AV shuttle would operate in the future once the sweep is fully constructed. The next I want to talk about some of the signage. So a part of our NHTSA approvals was that we needed to create a signage plan. So for those of you who are not familiar with the I-25 pedestrian bridge, it's best shown here in this picture on the bottom left. So when the bridge was initially constructed back in 2018, it was created to be, as it is named, a pedestrian and transit bridge. But since then, transit has never operated on this bridge until now. So as we were going through some of our approval process with NHTSA, we had to ensure that we were going to inform the public and keep the public informed about how this bridge is to be utilized in the future. So if you can see here, we not only have basic marketing signage for the Hopper itself and talking about the sweep itself, but some of the signs serve a dual purpose. So the sign, like you said, you see in the top middle here, this side only for pedestrians. The other side is, so this is a sign that's on the pedestrian side. And if you see here, this side only for pedestrians, the other side for the Hopper route. This is to ensure the pedestrians know, okay, I can only walk on this side because the AV shuttle is going to be coming up and down this bridge every now and then. And yes, it is AV. It's not going to run anybody over or anything, but it's important to make that distinction as people use the bridge on a daily basis. So the signs you see here, most of these signs depicted are along the I-25 transit and pedestrian bridge, but we also have informational signs and station stop signs going through the Galleria for our alternative route, the green route that goes through the Galleria Office Park. All right. And so since we have started this pilot program, we have experienced over 4,000 riders. I think about 4,350 to be exact to date. And so a part of this pilot program, we also offered a survey to anyone that rides. And so through this survey, we were able to basically gauge the public's perception of this technology and of the hopper itself. Now, 97% of those surveyed said they felt safe, which is always a big concern when you talk about introducing this type of technology. Not a lot of people feel comfortable in utilizing these types of technologies. But like I said, 97% of those surveyed said they felt safe, as well as 97% of those surveyed said they support seeing autonomous shuttles in Cumberland, which was very amazing to see, given the where we expect this project to be once the sweep itself is fully constructed. Now, I want to take the time to say that, so segment C, as I pointed out before, I think going through the gallery office park, so this is the segment that's the furthest along in the sweep project. So it is currently in the design phase, and we hope to go to construction on this segment by 2027. And so we're continuing to work with our property owners as well as our engineering firms to do this design to be able to get to this 2027 goal. And then also next up, it will be segments D and E. So I want to go ahead and put that plug out there for anybody who might be interested in getting in on the design process of this project. Cobb County DOT is putting this project out for bid on February 16th. So anybody interested in bidding on this project or knows anybody's interested on bidding on this project, this will be our next segment that will be going out for bid as we push this project forward. And then with that being said, that's all we have for now. Again, my name is Tarik Milner, and this is Bolina, and so I guess we can open the floor up now to any questions you may have. And thanks for having us today. Okay, doesn't fit. Yes. Thank you. I can. Oh, heat maps this year.
Oh, yes, that helps. Sorry about that. I'm interested in this map here. So the darker areas like 2 and 13 you were mentioning are that's where the most demand was derived from. Was that employees or residents, or how did you calculate that demand?
Trips once filtered for people we thought would use the shuttle. So, what did I say earlier? Trips that start and end in Cumberland and are leaving one zone to go to another.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
So it's not a lot of home-based work trips or the reverse. This is, in my mind, mainly people that are visiting the Battery and then the mall, or people that are, like Tarik was saying earlier, work in the Galleria and then are going to lunch in the Battery. Mm-hmm. And so the highest trips generated, the biggest, the businesses and restaurants that have land use codes that are generating the most amount of trips were mainly found in zones 2 and 13.
Thanks.
Your question. Yes.
Can you re-show where we can ride on it right now? Yeah. And what is the frequency of trips?
Maybe it just works for the camera.
I'm asking where we can ride on it right now, and what's the frequency of trips?
Yes. So as I said before, these are the two the pilot the routes that we're have going on right now. There is a schedule that we pretty much update monthly or even weekly, depending on any events or any occurrences that may happen. Occasionally the shuttle may go down, so we'll send an alert out to everyone saying, "Hey, operations are shut down for today." But and my apologies for not mentioning it before, but CumberlandSweep.org. That is a website, as our project website, and also on that website you'll be able to find a schedule for this route. So essentially, we will operate on one route or the other per day. So we won't operate on the blue route and the green route. So it's one route on any given day. The typical time frame, I know we do 5 hours. It's about 10 to 3. That's what we do right now, and we operate 5 days a week. So it's not only, I know the schedule that Par showed earlier only showed it operating through the weekdays, but depending on the month and depending on the events we have going on, we also operate on the weekends. So if you go and check out the schedule right now, you might see a completely different version of the schedule. So it's important. And so, but also if you go to the signage, yes. Also, what I failed to mention earlier, so if you see these QR codes here that we have posted on our signs all throughout the, like I said, the blue route as well as the green route, scan these QR codes and it will take you to that site and it'll take you to that schedule so you can stay up to date and see when the shuttle is on route. Welcome.
This is a non-technical question for Tarik because you said you weren't a tech guy.
All right.
Last I knew, because I live right outside the CID, the mall and Galleria were very much not helpful with parking for Braves games. Are you guys pursuing that in a policy type thing to encourage parking in those places?
As a part, no, we are not. I know parking can be a touchy issue, but I think that's pretty much up to the property owners themselves in dealing with that. Any more questions? Anything? Oh, two.
Give me a second.
Oh, I have a pretty loud question. Kind of a random question.
Go
Does
ahead.
the shuttle accommodate like strollers? I have a like baby strollers. Does it accommodate strollers?
Yes,
Like,
it
big enough
does.
to accommodate-
Actually, can you go to? I don't know if we have go to the last slide. Yeah. Okay. Well, so it does accommodate strollers. So, like I said, the shuttle, as we see now, is a 8-passenger shuttle. Well, technically 10, but I think so. One of our board members has a funny anecdote. So, like I said before, the shuttle is manufactured in France, so it technically fits 10 people, but it's European proportions basically. So that's why we when giving this information out, we pretty much say 8. So yeah, so given the amount of people that are able to ride, so I don't know, you can't really see from here, but the seats go all around the outside. So there's 3 seats in the back, I think, and then 4. Yeah, or if you go to the next slide, did you just pass? That one, yeah. So here you can see pretty much how people are seated. So pretty much around the back and to the side and then around the front. And then also you'll see here, so also along with strollers, it can also accommodate wheelchairs. It has a wheelchair accessible ramp here. So in the middle, you have that somewhat open space that will be able to fit stroller, wheelchair, anything like that. So, yeah, you're welcome.
I was just curious how you coordinated with Cobb Link and Cobb DOT on this project.
So Cobb Link, we did not have to coordinate with, but Cobb DOT, yes, we did for the project in total because, so part of it, if you go back to my route, sorry about that. Splitting through slides. So yes, here. So I-25 Transit and Pedestrian Bridge, the blue route. So this is owned and operated by Cobb DOT. So we did have to get permissions. I forget the actual term for it, but pretty much we had to get Cobb DOT's permission to access and ride along this bridge. And it was pretty much a process where we pretty much submitted what our project is and how we plan on operating it. And just throughout conversations, we were able to get that access or get those permissions from Cobb DOT. Now, when it comes to the green route, this is technically a privately owned road and is owned by Piedmont Realty, who owned the Galleria office buildings. So that was just a slightly separate process where we had to pretty much go through the same process with them, explain our project, what we're doing. Hey, can we please operate here? So that was pretty much the process that we had to go through. Welcome.
They're recording.
Sure, why not? If you could go back to one of the first slides where you had all the colors and so the clockwise route for the whole thing.
Oh, for the sweep?
Yeah, for the sweep. I just had a question. Okay, so and apologize if you said this and I wasn't listening or missed that. So how much of this is on existing public, collector roadways, or is it all on a separate sort of pedestrian multi-use access route? Because I'm just thinking of interaction with traffic and the speeds, and I mean, and just as a background, I live in Peachtree Corner. I'm aware of the Ollie system and that whole, well, I guess you call it a Paul or whatever, but that autonomous, and I see the routing for that and the marking and all that. This is obviously a little more robust, so I was just kind of curious how that would work, especially like on the blue route and so forth, if there's side streets or not?
Yes, actually, that is a great question. So to answer that question, so pretty much essentially all of these routes are along public roads.
Okay, right.
So, but so when we go through the design process, and also another thing to factor in is that the shuttle that's on route now, the shuttle that I showed you, will not be the shuttle that will be on route when we launch the actual project 2027, 2029. So I think right now there's a company that is planning on going to manufacture, begin manufacturing a shuttle in 2025, and that shuttle will have top speeds, I think, around 35 miles an hour. So given pretty much given the design parameters and how once we get to that part of the process, once we're able to have those conversations, there are a lot of these segments where the shuttle will be running in the lane with traffic. And that is also a process, NHTSA approval process that we have to go through when it comes to that. And then so it'll either be in lane with traffic, or we'll have a dedicated lane, as I showed in the one depiction. So here the shuttle has a dedicated lane. But then I think we have for segment C here, we plan on running the shuttle en route. But then maybe on maybe the yellow route there, we plan on actually building a dedicated lane so it doesn't have to technically run with traffic.
Yeah. Say the pilot program route that runs along Cap Galleria, correct me if it's changed, currently runs in mixed traffic.
Yes, it does. The green route runs with traffic. That's correct. And then I guess to kind of further say, pretty much the Galleria Drive is the only private road that we would operate on. I think all the other roads are public right of way owned by Cobb DOT. And then when we come across, for segment F, having to come across Cobb Parkway, then we'll have to begin conversations with GDOT for the state, because we'll be operating along state right of way.
And they'll have to go through traffic signals and all that.
Yes. It's a long way to go. All right. Anybody else? No? Good? All right. Well, I think that's it. Again, like I said, thank you guys for having us today, and hope you learned a lot. And get out there on the shuttle before March 22nd, last day for the shuttle. So go ahead and get your ride in. All right.
Thank you so much.